Good evening, friends. Let me introduce to you this book, Hail Holy Queen by Scott Hahn. Scott Hahn is a famous author and theologian. He authored this very successful book, The Lamb's Supper, which makes or which presents to us the Mass as heaven on earth. Now, he is the author of this book, Hail Holy Queen, and many other books. The more popular being Rome, Sweet Rome, which he co authored with his wife, Kim. But to focus on this, I find this appropriate to read for the Holy Week because it is about the Mother of God. So, from the blurbs, there are praises for this book, Hail Holy Queen, such as it says, in simple and straightforward prose, Dr. Scott Hahn's Hail Holy Queen explains the place of the Virgin Mary in Christian piety and eminently readable and insightfully structured. Hail Holy Queen examines and analyzes the biblical and theological foundations of Marian devotion with insight and deep faith. This is according to Edward Cardinal Egan, Archbishop of New York. But to go straight, this is a book of 187 pages and more. So, this is Scott Hahn for you. Okay. Let me start with the introduction, or rather, let's go straight to chapter 1. He is very personal in his approach. You see, chapter 1, my type of mother. Let's see what he can say about this chapter. Perhaps I am going to divide this chapter into 5 parts or maybe 3 parts. It all depends on how long I can hold you to listen to this reading, okay? The loving logic of Mary's maternity. Mothers are the most difficult people to study. They elude our scrutiny. By nature and by definition, they are relational. They can be considered as mothers only in their relationship with their children. That is where they focus their attention, and that is where they would focus ours. Nature keeps mother and child so close as to be almost indistinct as individuals through first 9 months of life. Their bodies are made for each other. During pregnancy, they share the same food, blood, and oxygen. During pregnancy, they share the same food, blood, and oxygen. After birth, nature places the child at the mother's breast for nourishment. The newborn's eyes can see only far enough to make eye contact with mom. The newborn's ears can clearly hear the beating of the mother's heart and the high tones of the female voice. Nature has even made a woman's skin smoother than her husband's, the better to nestle with the sensitive skin of the baby. The mother, body and soul, points beyond herself to her child. Yet as close as nature keeps us to our mothers, they remain mysterious to their children. They remain as mysteries. In the words of G.K. Chesterton's Father Brown, a thing can sometimes be too close to be seen. As the Mother of God, Mary is the mother par excellence. So, as all mothers are elusive, she will be more so. As all mothers give of themselves, she will give more. As all mothers point beyond themselves, Mary will to a much greater degree. A true mother, Mary considers none of her glories her own. After all, she points out, she is only doing God's bidding. Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word. Luke 1, verse 38. Even when she recognizes her superior gifts, she recognizes that they are gifts. All generations will call me blessed. Luke 1, verse 48. For her part, Mary's own soul magnifies not herself, but the Lord. Luke 1, verse 46. How then are we to approach this elusive subject? If she must always be relational, how can we begin to study this woman who always deflects attention away from herself and toward her child? Let's get metaphysical, according to Hahn. To understand the Mother of God, we must begin with God. All Mariology, all Marian devotion must begin with solid theology, and all that she is flows from her relationship with God and her correspondence to his divine plan. She is his mother. She is his spouse. She is his daughter. She is his handmaid. We cannot begin to know her if we do not first have clear notions about him, about God, his providence, and his dealings with his people. And that's not as easy as some people would lead us to believe. We, after all, are dependent upon language that engages our imagination, that makes invisible things understandable by comparing them to things that we see. God is boundless like the sky. He is illuminating like fire. He is everywhere like the wind. Or we contrast God's qualities with our own. We are finite, but he is infinite. We are limited in our power, but he is all-powerful. Analogy and contrast are as far as most people go in their consideration of God. And these are true as far as they go. Yet they don't go far enough. God is pure spirit, and all our earthly analogies fall far short of describing him as he really is. Theology is the way we approach God on his terms, rather than our own. Thus, though there's no easy way of going about it, we can't go deep in our faith unless we are willing to take on the task of theology to some degree. The ultimate truth about God cannot be dependent on anything other than God. We cannot define God in terms of something contingent, as in analogies, with creation. God does not depend upon creation for his identity. So, even his title of creator is something relative and not absolute. Though he is eternal and he is the creator, he is not the eternal creator. Creation is something that takes place in time, and God transcends time. So, though creation is something God does, it does not define who he is. The same goes for redemption and sanctification. Though God is Redeemer and Sanctifier, these titles do not define his eternal identity, but rather certain of his works. The terms Creator, Redeemer, Lawgiver, and Sanctifier are all dependent upon the world, upon something that needs to be created, redeemed, ruled, and sanctified. So let me end this session for now, and let's continue another day. Thank you. Good night.